Hey guys, it's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything or Clueless Gamers, and welcome to my fourth video. I thought this was a segment that was going to be finished after I received the copyright strike, which if you don't know, that's the reason I am doing these Q&A videos on this channel. I will also be doing podcasts, because with a copyright strike you have a 15-minute time limit, and that would last until December, so I thought these were done, but everyone was just like, oh, please, keep doing these, and, I mean, it really means so much to me, guys. I mean, I've thanked you, all the time, and I'm sure it's starting to sound redundant, but I really do mean it, and it's the reason, you guys are the reason that this series is continuing, and I'm thrilled because I think I've reached a solution that can appease you guys and pleases me. I didn't want to split it up into parts. So, we're back, Q&As, it's been 3 weeks, I'm going to apologize right off the bat, as I always do. If I missed any questions, I do apologize. The YouTube comments, they get eaten up sometimes, so feel free to message me on Twitter or Instagram. That might be actually an easier way to get me these questions, and then I'll be able to answer them. And if I missed your question, please don't be offended, I do apologize. You can write it down in the comments below, like, hey, you missed my question, here it was, and then I will answer it in the next Q&A video. So, without further ado, guys, I really hope you enjoy. I'm really glad that I'm able to make these videos again, and let's get right into it. So as you can tell by the title of this video, I always title it based on the very first question or set of questions that I'll answer, what I think is the most intriguing set of questions or just the most popular, and this to me was the most interesting. Now I will say this, we don't know if there is a sixth show. I'm gonna reiterate that point because we're just not sure, but I'm going to get into what I think is my ideal sixth series since there were so many questions about a sixth show. So, to start off, JN1306 asks, do you think a sixth series could be made without introducing a new summoning method? In that case, what do you think would be the selling point of the series? Second question, do you think that a sixth series could be a follow-up, direct sequel to Arc 5? Would you want that to happen? Atemi Yugioh asks a similar question. Me and my girlfriend were discussing what could be the premise of a new Yu-Gi-Oh series after Arc 5. We thought a continuation-like kind of thing, like after Arc 5, remaining forces of Academia have been in hiding since the final battle. They are plotting something big involving various important cards throughout Yu-Gi-Oh history. Example, Dark Magician, Blue Eyes, Neos, Rainbow Dragon, etc., etc. Ace Grit asks, great video and I'd love to see a female protagonist. Q&A, do you think Yu-Gi-Oh! Sakio is the sixth Yu-Gi-Oh! series? Obviously, that's, I'm pretty sure, the new 3DS game. I think that's the character in it. Juliana Logrono asks, do you think there will be a Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 version 2? Noah Solomon asks the same thing. What is the likelihood that Arc 5 gets a season 2.0? And those are all the questions. A lot of questions regarding a sixth series. So, I'm going to give what my ideal sixth series would be, and if I think there will be an Arc 5 2.0 like there was in Zexal. And I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear from you guys as many questions or answers to these questions as you want to type in. I mean, if you want to answer all of them, you can. Also, I'll leave a table of contents, as I always do, in the description if you want to float around to whatever questions you find most intriguing. But my sixth series, I would love for it to be maybe a continuation of Arc 5, or a show that's 30 years in the future in the same universe as Arc 5. Because then at least, if you do that, then at least you have a Yuya and a Yuzu and all these characters who you can introduce and have them make cameos. I mean, I sound like a broken record, but I love cameos, and I think having a sixth series in the same dimension, or in the same universe at least, kind of similar to how GX and Duel Monsters were, and I guess 5Ds as well. There were a lot of cameos in that show, maybe not in-person cameos, but GX had a good amount of in-person cameos, and I'd love to see that in a sixth show. So an immediate plot line, like an immediate sequel to Arc 5, or maybe Academia Soldiers, as Atemi Yugioh suggested. I'm not sure about that. It would be interesting, but if you did that, then I would like to see Yuya and Yuzu still as the main male and female characters. And on to the question asked by Noah Solomon and Juliana, do I think there will be a version 2? I don't. And this version 2 wasn't really introduced until Zexal. There was nothing like that in Duel Monsters GX and 5Ds. And with Zexal, the first Zexal 1 was really only like 70 episodes, and then Zexal version 2 was another 70 episodes. If you did that with Arc 5, that means Arc 5 would be probably around 250, 270 episodes. And I don't think it would go that long, because even if you have a version 2 that, let's say, is the same as Zexal, where it was only 70 episodes, we're still talking 210, 220 episodes. And if you asked me this a few months ago, I probably would have said it's possible. I thought this was going to be the last show, but now that we know it's confirmed to end in spring 2017, I don't think a version 2 will be announced. I really think we are getting to the end of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, unfortunately. And to address just the final point, JN1306, and then I'll give my like, ideal, like, characters and settings and plot line and storyline. Do you think it could be introduced without making a new summoning method? Yeah, here's my thing. When people, and if you guys want to see this too, let me know. I'd love to see, like, the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Get remastered in the same animation that Dark Side of Dimensions is in, because that movie looks beautiful. When subs come out, I'll do a review on it, and I'll give my thoughts on the movie as a whole. That movie looks absolutely gorgeous, and I'd love to see Duel Monsters and GX and older shows with that animation style. The problem there, and why I don't think they'll do that, is they have nothing to sell. Yu-Gi-Oh! They always are introducing something new, and if you spend 2 or 3 years reanimating a show that, has already been done, I think it would be great. I think a lot of fans would love it, but you're not really promoting anything. And if you continue a storyline after Duel Monsters or GX came to a close, it would also be tricky to introduce a new summoning method, because let's say you do that in Duel Monsters where, you pick up on Yugi's, because keep in mind, Dark Side of Dimensions is it's in the manga universe, it's in an entirely different universe, it has nothing to do with any of these 5 animes, or even, the original Duel Monsters for that matter. So let's say the original Duel Monsters or GX, you introduce a new character, you follow like a Manjome or a Janucci, and a new summoning method gets introduced. The real thing there is, well then where was that summoning method in GX and 5Ds? You can do something like that for 5Ds because there was nothing after 5Ds, and you can do something like that for Zexal because there was nothing after Zexal. But, it just kind of gets tricky in terms of timeline, even though the Yu-Gi-Oh! Timeline's a mess as it is, so I guess you could really just do whatever the hell you want. But my ideal show, and I want you guys to let me know, and if it is a reboot or it's following like a Manjome or a character that was in an old show, that's perfectly fine as well. Let me know in the comments below. My ideal show is a female protagonist who, again, is independent from the male. She can have a male best friend, a male rival, but I don't want any, romance, at least with her falling for her male best friend, because every time romance is involved in Yu-Gi-Oh!, I don't think they've ever done it right. And it's always a case of the female character gets kind of weakened because of it. So I don't want any romance, at least between her and the male character can be in love with her, that's fine, or her male best friend, I should say. But as long as she's focused on dueling and, the task at hand, I think that would be perfectly fine. I'd love to see a female character. 20 to 30 years in Arc 5's universe, we could get cameos from Yuya, from Yuzu, and whoever else may be, in the universe at that time. I think that would be really cool. In terms of what character I would want the main character to use, I saw someone say Cosmos. I mean, the thing is, I know that's like a very popular archetype. I don't know many archetypes, so that's kind of a tricky question for me to ask. But a premise like that, I think, would be really awesome. But you guys let me know. That's the title of the video, and I think it's very intriguing. Again, this is if there is a 6th show. Would you want it to be in Arc 5's universe, or would you want it to maybe be in a completely separate universe that has nothing and no mention of any of these past shows, or would you want it to be a remaster of a show, or a completely different thing where maybe they follow like Jack Atlas after 5Ds or something like that? You guys let me know what you want to see in a 6th show, but those are my thoughts on it, and in that turn, I just answered about 8 or 9 questions at once. Scorpio229 asks, who is the best portrayed returning character from the other series in Arc 5, and why? And then I'll get into the 5Ds question afterwards. I would have to say, at this moment, probably Kaido. I mean, I thought Jack was alright. I've never been huge on Crow. Crow, you could probably make the case, since Crow, I think, got the most screen time, I would say, and the most duels. And Jack was portrayed in a pretty badass light as well, but I think Kaido has come back, and it seems like he's a lot more involved with the main storyline than Jack and Crow were, in my opinion. And I think at this moment, Edo and Asuka, it's like GX, these GX characters are just cursed for whatever reason. I mean, I don't think they've done too much, especially Asuka. She had that really badass debut duel, and since then, she's really done nothing, and it really is a shame. I think, I'm recording this right before episode 114, I think she should be the one dueling Dennis and not Kaido. I'm not complaining that it is Kaido, but I think it goes to show you what the writers think at this point of Asuka, and even Edo, who they kind of left back in the Heartland. So, it's definitely a shame, but at this point, I would say Kaido has probably been the best portrayed returning character. Also, I have a 5Ds question. Is it me, or was there not really a villain at the end of the show? None of the antagonists, Aporia, Antinomy, and Zone had any evil intentions, if you think about it. They thought they were doing the right thing, and even Zone admits that he wanted Yusei to win the duel. Antinomy even helped Yusei Delta XL Synchro. Do you think that this either made the show's ending better or less impacting compared to the other shows? That's a very good question. I've seen a lot of people say 5Ds had some horrible villains. And they did, because they really weren't villains. I mean, even Rex Godwin wasn't that evil, and he kind of gets redeemed. The best villain that show had, I still believe, was Divine, was Sayer, which, again, his arc was unfinished because of the whole Carly cult scandal, and so that kind of always irked me. 5Ds definitely had some weak villains. Not to say I didn't like them. I liked Zone a lot. I wasn't big on Aporia, honestly. I liked Bruno a lot. I mean, Bruno really, I wouldn't even consider him a villain at all. I wouldn't consider any of them villains. So a lot of people will say 5Ds had the weakest villains, and I probably would agree with that. As for if it made the show any better, I thought 5Ds had a very good ending. I really liked the ending arc. I thought 5Ds was kind of lacking in the middle. I mean, I liked the show truth is, I liked all the shows, but in the middle portion, right after the Dark Signer arc, until that final... You know, there were some good arcs, like the Jack getting his Scar Red Nova Dragon, Yusei and Kiru in Crash Town or Satisfaction Town. But for the most part, I wasn't big in the middle part of 5Ds. But the ending, I really thought they did it well. And even though there was no really evil characters, I thought they kind of fit the motives and the themes of the show. Christian Dennison asks, what was your most shocking moment so far in Arc 5? That's a good question, and... that's one I'd like to hear some people answer in the comments below. I mean, again, you can answer any questions you want in the comments, because I'm trying to think. I've been thinking for about 2 minutes. Something that really was shocking to me, more of a badass kind of way, is when you see Reiji duel for the first time, and he immediately... he fusion summons, synchro summons, and XZ summons on his in one turn. I don't remember if it was his first turn. It wasn't his first turn. He used all these spell cards in his first turn. I think that was going to, like, finish him off in terms of effect damage, which obviously you knew he countered. Just Reiji was phenomenal in that duel, and the fact that he was able to just synchro summon, XZ summon, and fusion summon all in one turn, and then pendulum summon, absolutely badass. That was shocking more in a badass kind of way. Shocking in more of, like, a jaw-dropping kind of way. Maybe just how, like, wicked Sora was. I had a feeling he was evil early on, just based on he was a very sketchy character. I feel that way about Rira, honestly. Not that Rira knows what he's doing, and we're going to get into that later in this video, because I know people did ask questions concerning Rira. And Sora, he was just twisted, and that duel against Shun, man, that is a phenomenal duel. That's still one of my favorite duels in the entire show. But just how disturbed he was back then, and how twisted he was of a character, that was pretty, like, holy crap, like, that was a really good moment. So, Arc 5 has had a few pretty good shocking moments, but you guys let me know what you think is the most shocking moment in Arc 5. Sen Sitharan asks, aside from Reiji and Yuya, who is your favorite Arc 5 character, even if they even are your favorite? Well, I don't like to say favorite characters, favorite villains, only because I might do, like, top 10 characters and then go through all the shows at some point if I start, you know, really running out of ideas for the videos I make every 3 to 4 weeks, the lists, the theories. So, not including Reiji and Yuya, Shun. I like Shun a lot. I mean, I think his voice actor, when he dueled those 3 LDS students, you could just, like, and he summoned Rise Falcon, phenomenal voice acting. I think that scene's on YouTube. You can just hear the resent and hatred in his voice. He's just, I love Shun a lot. I think he's kind of, you know, not at the level that he was early on, but I still like his character a lot, and I hope he does come back to the action soon, because as of now, he's stranded in Fusion. Not stranded, but he's unconscious in Fusion. Anna Draws asks, first question, if Yugioh duels with Yuri and loses, do you think that Yugioh will go to Yuya's head like Yuto, or Yuri is going to turn him into a card? Well, I'll answer that question first. I think that if they duel, Yugioh and Yuri, and Yugioh will lose if that duel happens, and I think that Yugioh would not go into Yuri's soul. A lot of people have said they think Yuri is going to absorb him. Here's the thing, Yuya and Yuto get along. Yugioh and Yuri would not get along, so I don't think they could coincide within one vessel. That's my main concern there. Yuri might as you know, Anna, because I know you watched that podcast I did, I have a bit of a theory that Yugioh and Rin are both going to fight for Academia. If you guys want to check out that video, just go to this channel. This channel only has like 4 videos. You'll be able to find it right away. And I think that, if Yuri holds him hostage and says, I won't card you and I won't card Rin if you both fight for me and you fight against Yuya, I think that's also a possibility. And then the third possibility is that Yuri just straight up kills him, and that's another. But I think Yugioh is too important to the storyline and to the Berserk mode that he's going to be turned into a card. I don't think. I originally did think he was going to be turned into a card, but for the last few months, I don't think he will be turned into a card. Second question, if Yuya duels Yuri, if that happens, it will be awesome. I really hope that happens. And Yuya wins with his way of dueling. Do you think that Yuri will turn into a good guy like Edo did? See, I really hope not, because, and I know Yuri will get redeemed at some point, but I want a couple of duels that, I guess at this point, do you even have that kind of time? I want a couple of duels to get through to Yuri. Like, if Yuya and Yuri duel and Yuri's killed a bunch of people, as we've already seen him card a bunch of people, and they have one duel, and I can't see... See, the thing is, when two counterparts duel and their dragons are summoned, every time that's happened, whether it's Yuya versus Yuto when he was dueling with Sora, and Yuto versus Yugioh when Yuto, died and went into Yuya, or Yugioh and Yuri, when the dragons are out, they're in Berserk mode. So I don't think Yuya's going to be able to stay out of Berserk mode if he duels Yuri, and that's why I don't think he's going to be able to have this entertainment-style dueling. So, I mean, let me know what you guys think about that. That's a good question, because I'm really not sure what's going to happen if Yuya duels Yuri. I think at some point they'll both be into Berserk mode. Optic Slayer asks, can you answer these 3 questions in your next video? If Leo were to become a signer in the duel against Divok and he dueled Aporia, would he die or not? And the second question is similar. How would Leo win against Aporia? I guess if he became a signer earlier. If you guys don't know, I did a video, this is on Clueless Gamers, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, things you missed, things you didn't know. The original plan for Rua, or Leo, was that he was going to become a signer, he was going to get Livestream Dragon, not against Divok. He was not supposed to duel Divok at all, which we know him and his sister ended up dueling him. He was supposed to duel Greiger, or Bomber, in the original, and this makes perfect sense, because if you remember, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, as you guys always do, because I always get a couple of these things wrong, so I do appreciate it, as always, when people point out the errors that I make, which there's guaranteed to be a few in all my videos. But Bomber's monsters, weren't they, like, very heavy effect damage monsters? And what I mean by that is, like, if you summoned a magic, if you played a magic or a trap card or summoned a monster, wouldn't you take, like, 500 points of damage? I'm pretty sure he had very heavy effect damage monsters, and Rua's, or Leo's, Livestream Dragon would have been perfect for that duel, because you can't take effect damage with that duel out. That card was literally made to counteract Bomber. I didn't even mention that when I did my 5Ds things you missed, which just kind of adds to the fact that he was supposed to duel Bomber. So if he gets his Livestream Dragon against Bomber and defeats Bomber, which would have been a rematch, because remember, he pretended to be his sister in the tournament way early in the show, probably like episode 17, 18, around that time, and he lost to Bomber. So how would Leo win against Aporia? I'm not sure. I mean, that would have been a much different duel. And it's just tough to say. I'm not sure if he would have died against Aporia. He had that great emotional scene. I think they did it really well. I mean, that was if you've watched my top 5 duels in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, that was my second favorite duel. I love that duel, and I love that moment. And then number 3, this is a random sad moment. I thought of Leo as a Dark Signer versus Luna as a Light Signer. Who would win? It would be Luna, and I'm saying that because no Dark Signer beat a Light Signer, or just a regular Signer, whatever you want to call them. The only one that was close was Kiryu beat Yusei, but that wasn't real. That was before, like, I feel they really kind of got into the whole Signer versus Dark Signer aspect. That was the one thing that was missing, I thought, a Dark Signer win. I thought Carly was going to get it against Jack, and what I mean by that is a win where the Signer ends up actually getting killed. When Kiryu beat Yusei, it didn't happen. But imagine if it did happen, my god, that whole show would have been completely different. But, yeah, I think Luna would win that. That would be actually a very interesting duel, but I think Luna would have won that. Persephone Diggin asks, and I answered a few of these in the third Q&A. Number 5, if you have an ability to see monster spirits like Jaden and Luna, which monster spirit will be your partner, like Wing Karibo is Jaden's partner? That's a tough one. It's so generic, and I'm sure some people are probably going to rip on it, but I would love Dark Magician Girl as a, I mean, what guy wouldn't, let's be honest. But no, all kidding aside, I mean, no, she is helpful, though. It's not like she'd be like I mean, she did help out Yugi a lot and the Pharaoh a lot. So that would, if I had to pick from any of the pre-existing ones, that would probably be my pick. I know, generic, but, I mean, come on, it's the Dark Magician Girl. Number 6, if Jaden will show up, do you think he can and will separate from Yubel? If so, what do you think will happen to him when he will do it? Well, I don't think Judai will show up. I don't think Jaden will show up. And if he did, I don't think he would separate from Yubel. But then again, is Yubel alive on this timeline? The truth be told, I don't think he would show up. If he separated from Yubel, Yubel would probably do what she did in GX and try to make a universe just for her and Jaden, or him and Joe. I mean, we really don't know. Yubel's kind of genderless, but I don't think Jaden would have any reason to separate from Yubel, and I don't think he's going to show up in this show at any point. Mikey Rangel, great stuff, man. Thank you, Mikey. Q&A, here's a little theory to sort of complement the ones you two came up with. What happens when a Bracelet Girl defeats another Bracelet Girl? Maybe not absorption, but something major? We know a U-Boy vs. Bracelet Girl does nothing because Yuzu defeated Yuya and Yugioh defeated Serena. I'm hoping the familiar voice is either Reiji or Roger. I know you hate Roger, but I really want to see his smug face again, lol. I mean, I do hate Roger, but if it's him, you know, it's him. I'm not going to have too much of an issue with that. I just thought he was more of a useless character, honestly, but it'd be very interesting if it was him. But to your question, I'm not sure. What do you guys think what happens when a Bracelet Girl defeats another Bracelet Girl? Hopefully we see that, but you make a good point. We know a U-Boy versus Bracelet Girl does nothing, but maybe it will do something if more bracelets are involved. Like if we have a, 4-on-4 matchup, which I would love to see at some point. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I don't know if absorption would happen, but it would be kind of interesting if Rin, kills Ruri, and Ruri gets absorbed by Yuzu, and it's the same exact pattern that the U-Boys went through. I think that would be pretty interesting. I don't think that will happen. I'm just kind of saying hypothetically, but yeah, it's definitely an interesting concept to think about, and hopefully it's something we will see. I'd love to see any of those matchups. Yuzu versus Serena, Yuzu versus Rin, Rin versus Serena. I'd love to see any of those matchups, so hopefully we do see one of them before the show ends. Crimson Zexel, Eric Brook, asks, what would you think if a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fighting game was developed in a similar fashion to the Super Smash Bros. Games, and had a story spanning several games that collectively covered the whole of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise and told it from the perspective of a group trying to prevent a great evil from A, invading the Yu-Gi-Oh! Universe, and B, plunging the universe and several others into darkness? I've had this idea in mind for years now and have mentioned it from time to time in your Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos, but wanted to address it to you more directly and see what other people think about the idea. I'm still working on developing the story, but with proper context of how the story grows, it makes a great deal more sense. Well, I gotta say, I love Super Smash Bros. I think a lot of people do, and it would be interesting, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fighting game. My only thing there is you'd have to incorporate the card game, wouldn't you? Or are you trying to just say, let's have these, let's have Yuya and Yusei and Yuma go at it, fist to fist, and instead of their final smash with them, Yuma summons Hope or Utopia, and he just comes and slashes the whole screen, or Yusei summons Shooting Star Dragon, which shoots across the screen. I think that would actually be kind of interesting. I don't think it's possible, because you would have to have the card game involved, I would think. I don't think they would want their characters just fighting it out, fist to fist. But it's definitely an interesting concept. Honestly, I'm down for any Yu-Gi-Oh! Video game at this point. I liked Millennium Duels, I liked Legacy of the Duelist, which are PS3 and PS4 respectively, but they're still lacking a really great Yu-Gi-Oh! Video game. I'd love a Yu-Gi-Oh! Video game for console or handheld that used actual clips from the anime. I think that could kind of enhance the experience. I would enjoy if they did something like that. But you guys let me know what you think about this. A Yu-Gi-Oh fighting game similar to Super Smash Bros. And if you don't like this idea, or if you do like this idea, expand on it. More than welcome to. But if you don't like that idea, what's another suggestion for a Yu-Gi-Oh video game? Because I'm glad you brought this up, Crimson Zexel, because we need good ideas for a Yu-Gi-Oh video game. Because when you look at Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon, which by the way, for the first time in 15 years, I believe that was the stat, the Yu-Gi-Oh anime out-profited the Pokemon anime. So that was, I was from 2014 to 2015, so I was shocked to see that. But, you know, and that's the thing, I think a lot of people, even Pokemon fans that I've talked to, prefer the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, or would say that there's more story to it. Not trying to rip on Pokemon at all, but the reason Pokemon is so much more mainstream, I mean, look at what Pokemon Go did. I mean, it took the world by storm. I mean, I'm out at 3 in the morning walking around my neighborhood trying to track down a freaking Venonat. I mean, the video games that Pokemon creates are, as I've said, revolutionary. But if Yu-Gi-Oh had a video game similar to it that was as popular, I think the anime would really spike up in popularity. So if anyone has any Yu-Gi-Oh video game ideas, please leave them down below in the comments section. Yuri the Venomous Duelist asks, if this Yugioh and Rin theory turns out to be true, which I'm literally 100% convinced it is, I would be shocked if it doesn't happen. Well, thank you. How and when do you think Yugioh and Rin would be redeemed? I think this is a great opportunity for a Yugioh vs. Yuya duel, which the fandom has been wanting to happen for quite some time. This would be better than if they dueled in the Friendship Cup. Yeah, because in the third opening, which was I think like episode 52, 53, they hinted at Yugioh vs. Yuya, and we never got it, and I think a lot of fans were upset about that. I was not thrilled about it. I really thought it was going to happen. I would love a Yugioh vs. Yuya duel. It also could set up a Rin and Serena versus Yuzu and Ruri duel. I think that could be a great duel. How would they get redeemed? I'm really not sure. I've actually just thought about it for about a good 2 minutes in complete silence in my basement, and I can't think of anything. Maybe it's just a case they all go into Berserk, and all the 4 girls need to kind of realize that they have to stop them, or another force is going to come. I just don't know. Predicting the end of this show, I mean, even mini theories like this, I mean, because this is a theory that Rin and Yugioh are going to join Academia that I kind of coined. I haven't really seen it floated around anywhere else. You know, it's just so hard to predict what's going to happen. There's so many variables, so it's just really tough to say. But I'm glad you like the theory and that you are 100% convinced, because you're a lot more convinced than I am. So I'm like 50-50. I hope it happens, but we'll see. Which Lancers do you think will get carded? If the writers keep the Sawatari versus counterparts, we can already see what his bleak future holds. Death by Star Venom. I'm actually starting to really believe Shingo and Gangenzaka are both going to get carded. I mean, at this point, you know, at least give them like a really good emotional moment where like they kind of get sent off and killed in a way that is kind of memorable. So at least you can say, yeah, well, they did have that really cool moment where they got killed. I mean, looking at it from that perspective, it's like, yeah, they got killed. That was their best moment. And I don't like to call characters useless, but at this point, these two are almost, and I know people in the comment section are not, you know, they're cutthroat, man. They'll just be like, yeah, Gangenzaka and Shingo, completely useless. And they have every right to say it. Shingo, I said this when I reacted to the fifth opening. Yuya has beaten Shingo, Yuto, and Yugioh have all beaten Shingo. I agree with you. I think the future is bleak. He's gonna duel Yuri. I said it when I reacted to the 5th opening. You can go back and watch that video if you don't want to take my word for it. He's gonna duel Yuri. He is gonna get carded. Shingo and Gangenzaka, I think they're both in danger at this point of getting carded. Angel of Darkness asks, do you think Roger's mind control, if that's what it was, left lasting effects on Yuya? He acts as usual, but yeah, that's tough. You know, it's definitely possible, but as you point out, he acts as usual, so it's kind of, I mean, it's an interesting theory, because if it happened 10 episodes from now, and it was like, yeah, Roger's mind control is still having an effect on it, and maybe that's why, like, Academia is able to kind of infiltrate his mind because they have similar technology, it's very believable, and it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But if they never went back to it, it would also make sense, because the thing is, he has shown no signs of it affecting him, and because of that, and you said it yourself, Angel, that he acts as usual, and that's probably the reason I'd say it's not going to have lasting effects. But, you know, if they ever brought it up again, they've put themselves in a position where they can bring it up, and at least it makes somewhat sense. Forte asks, Q&A, I bet the professor is not actually truly evil. I'm getting the same vibes from him and Reiji as I did with Kaido and his father. He is doing what he believes will ultimately save the world, so I think everyone will get redeemed and the true evil will be the darkness inside Yuya, origin of the Berserk mode. Let me know what you think. I absolutely agree with you. Leo might be evil. You know, I don't know if he's going to be like a Zone, but I have heard a lot of theories that he is trying to, you know, he has good intentions, I guess what I'm trying to say. I gracefully tripped over my words, but he has good intentions. That's what people believe. I'm not sure about that, but I do think the main evil is going to be that darkness, which maybe it's the darkness from GX. That's a theory that's been thrown around that I discussed on a podcast recently with Blade of Chaos and Atemi Yugioh. You can find it on Blade of Chaos's channel. So maybe it's the darkness from GX. I guess we don't really know. Also, I'm glad there's a place where I can talk about the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. Thank you for doing these videos. Thank you for the support. And the last one, oh, don't want to cheat by dropping 2 Qs, but lol. I believe Reiji's mom may have some weird motives because Rira always seems scared of her, but the anime may not touch on it or develop it because of timing, but Reiji's mom being evil could add to the seemingly lack of villains, but who really knows? I like that a lot, and I actually included this comment from Jackpot21100 because I agree with what he says here. I think that Rira is a spy for Academia. I think he has got some relationship, and what if Himiko, which is the mom, is actually working with Leo, and she made Rira a sleeper agent, similar to what happened with Bruno and Antinomy? I actually believe this theory a lot. Maybe I'll make a video going in depth on it. Rira has always given me this weird vibe, and it's not like a Sora vibe where he knows what he's doing, but there's something going on, and his mom, Reiji's mom, is kind of sketchy too. Maybe Reiji's mom and Rira are going to be in on it. Imagine a 3-on-1 duel against freaking Reiji. That would actually be, I hope that would be awesome, where the dad, the mom, and Rira all duel him. That would be an awesome duel. So there might be some weird motives there. You guys let me know what you think about that. Calliope Merlin, for your Q&A, in episode 2021, Yuya dueled against Miru, and after he lost the duel, her school headmaster looked into the crystal ball, asking what kind of future awaits Yuya. Alter his fate. I don't remember anymore if she also saw the dark soul in Yuya like Miru did in her crystal ball after Yuya defeated the 3 Obelisk Force members, but right after the question, the headmaster's crystal ball broke into 2 pieces. That's right, I completely forgot that happened. That's right. My question was, what do you think about this scene? Because I have a feeling that she might know something relevant for the whole issue with the dimensions, the 4 U's, Leo's plans, and so on. And in that case, I actually want her back so she can tell us / lead to relevant conclusions. Yeah, I forgot about that scene. That was a bizarre scene because I remember watching that and I was like, oh boy, that's not a good sign. And we're almost 100 episodes past that episode now, and it's kind of creepy that they've never really went back to it. This was about 2 years ago when this happened, and they still really haven't addressed that. I think it just has to do with the darkness inside him, but right, when looking into his future, the ball just shattered, which is, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I'll take your word for it. I guess I gotta really look that up. I'm probably gonna watch that scene right after I finish recording this audio, but that was a bizarre scene. I really don't know what to take from it, but there's definitely something messed up going on within Yuya and Yuto. I really do believe that. The Lion Turtle, you've said that you want there to be a Use vs Bracelet Girls duel, but what situation do you think that could happen? Because aside from Serena and Yuri, they all like each other. Well, that's true. And whether they like each other as best friends or like each other as more than that, I guess that's left up to the imagination. But it's clear that all of them besides Serena and Yuri have a very, very close bond. But here's what I'm thinking. The U-boys go into Berserk mode, all 4 of them. The U-girls, with their bracelets, they learn from Leo or Reiji or someone that they're the only ones who can stop this Berserk mode and this rampage, and they have to duel the 4 U-boys. And that's how the duel happens. That again, I guess, is really a theory in its own, but that's one scenario that I think could lead to a 4-on-4 duel. Trayshawn Bonds asks, do you think that there is any more character development that Yuya needs to go through before Arc 5 ends? To be honest, you know, character development's never a bad thing. If he could go through some more character development, I'd be down for it. I just don't think we have enough time. I think we have 30 episodes left. I think Yuya's character is developed enough at this point. I'm not saying that it's been done perfectly, because I don't think it has been, but I think I'd rather, you know, kind of just see what happens now. But then again, if him and his dad meet, that could give him some development too. So we'll see. There's always the way I see it, there's always room for character development, but now that they're short on time, it's going to be tough to squeeze it in. As Rin Sengol, Q&A, if you don't like arrogant characters, how can you like Kaiba? Well, I like Kaiba mainly because he's Kaiba, and when I say I don't like characters like Manjome and others, it's not that I, like, despise them, but I just don't like them as much as other characters. And Kaiba, when I did my top 7 rivals, I put him, I think, at 4 or 5. I think I put him at 4, which a lot of people weren't really too thrilled about, obviously. But, you know, to me, Kaiba was a good character. I mean, I have no problem admitting he's one of the most symbolic characters in the entire franchise. But again, it was that trace of arrogance that really prevented me from getting fully behind him and really rooting for him as a character. Destroyer 831642. Have you noticed in Arc 5 that field spells are simultaneously the most overused and yet least utilized cards that Arc 5 has? In fact, only 2 non-action field spells have ever been played in the entire show. Earthbound Prison from episode 92 always seems to come back to episode 92. And then the most recent one with Edo, it's kind of annoying. And I think the reason for that, and, you know, it is a little bit annoying, is because of the action field, I think, is considered by the writers as a field spell. And I think that's the reason why field spells have not been used. That kind of goes back to the whole theory, you know, do people enjoy action cards? I like the entertainment-style dueling. I would like to see more field spells, there's no doubt about it. And that's a cool little stat. I didn't realize that only 2 field spells had been used by now. We might look back at the show and maybe those are the only 2 field spells that have been used. But I think the main reason for that is because the writers consider the action field spells as actual field spells. And, you know, if you love field spells, I like field spells too. It is kind of a shame that they get tossed to the side. So Junior RC asks, so I keep seeing the fans and everybody keeps theorizing about the old characters coming, the old protagonists coming back. So I thought of a similar storyline to Bonds Beyond Time's plot. I mean, you already brought back a ton of old characters, so why not bring back the protags, right? You can read the middle paragraph if you want yourselves. And then to end the show, you could do a multiverse duel tournament arc, around 15 to 20 episodes where you have all these dream duels, like Yugi vs. Yuya, Jaden vs. Yusei, Yusei vs. Reiji, Edo vs. Yuma. You could do so many things and little interactions and references to old shows. To me, that's what I'd like to see if all the protagonists came back. Mainly the middle part is just about how they would defeat Leo Akiba and all that good stuff. I would love for them to do this. I would love for them to do a big tournament with all the characters from the shows. If that was the 6th show, that would be awesome. Again, it will never happen, because what story can you really write around it? And you wouldn't have that many evil characters. But if you took all, and what I mean by evil characters is a lot of the duels are good versus evil in Yu-Gi-Oh! They're not, then a lot of these duels would be good versus good. You know, Yugi versus Yuya, Jaden versus Yusei, Yusei versus Reggie. I would love to see duels like that. You could have so many dream matchups. I'd love to see Yuma versus Yuya. I think Yuma's the only other protagonist that I could see really, like, thriving in an action field kind of setting. I think that would be a great duel. Yugi versus Yusei, I'd love to see. There's so many duels that I would love to see, and if they did something like that, it would be awesome. I'm in favor of it. I don't think they will do it, but I guess me and Junior RC and maybe others will just keep hoping that they they do something like this. It would really be awesome. Zart Madison Zafir, do you think there will be a 2nd season where Yuya will have to defeat Seto Kaiba and there will be a 5th dimension? I do not think there will be a 5th dimension, and I don't think Kaiba will be appearing. I made that theory back like episode 95 when I thought Arc 5 could go 180 episodes. I re-uploaded that theory on this channel if you want to watch it, and it's just not going to happen. It's not, and I already kind of answered if I think there will be a version 2 of Arc 5 similar to Zexal. I don't think there will be, but and the main protagonist would be working with Evil Kaiba. It would be awesome. I'd love to see it, but I don't see it happening at this point with the amount of allotted time the show has left. Life Deather asks, what is your opinion on Ghosh and Zexal? Have you ever thought of doing a rewatch series where you go and do a review on previous series episodes like Arc 5? Have you watched Season 0 and do you plan on watching the original series subbed? I've seen clips from Season 0. I have not watched Season 0. I do plan on watching Season 0 and rewatching the original subbed. I don't have any plans right now to do reviews on previous episodes. I might do reviews on previous arcs, where or previous seasons, I should say, where I go back to the previous 4 shows and I give my thoughts on each arc, but that's kind of in the very basic stages right now. That's not in the near future, I would say. And on Goshan's in Zexal, I liked him, I liked Droid a lot, I liked those two, I thought they made a good team, and Zexal, I liked the side characters a lot, and those were 2 characters that I really related to and enjoyed seeing. Full Metal Predaking X Q&A, what are your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh villains? Well, I'm not going to give this away because I will be doing my top 5 Yu-Gi-Oh antagonists, but just, I guess, a quick briefing. Marek, Bakura, Pegasus. I like Sayu from GX. I like Yuri right now. I Vector from Zexal was really, really good. So, those are a few. I don't want to give, sorry to really not answer, but I don't want to give too much away since I will be doing a top 5 antagonist video when Arc 5 ends. Cyclone Joker 911, with all the Red Eyes fusion support and a new fusion monster coming out, do you think that Joey or Fubuki might return as Academia soldiers or supporting characters? I answered this a couple months ago, honestly, at this point. And it's possible. I mean, they're putting out cards for a reason, so it is possible, and I'd be 100% down. I would love to see Joey or Atticus return. I think it would be great. Brown Eyes Tanned Person, what relevance do you think the pendulum has? Yeah, that's hard. That's hard for me to answer because I really have no idea. I feel like if you knew what the relevance the pendulum has, you would kind of understand the entire plot. And so that's why I don't think, at this point, it's all speculation. The pendulum may contain the darkness inside of Yugioh, but why would his dad give that to him unless his dad was trying to, he was working for Leo Akaba? I really don't know. The pendulum definitely has a bigger role than I think a lot of people think, at least in my opinion, and I'm very excited to see what it actually is when it's all said and done. Sayo Tamaz, if Yu-Gi-Oh does end up with a female protagonist, what monster archetype do you think she would use? That's tricky. That is tricky. Again, I said it earlier, and Cosmos was one that I saw people say, but the truth is I really don't know the trading card game well enough to say what archetype. What about Lightsworn? I mean, what do you guys let me know, because this is one that I really want you guys to answer, because I think Lightsworn has a few, female characters on the cards, right? I might be completely wrong about that, but, if there is, I guess I'll just have a picture up right now as I'm blabbing on about this, but it is a good question, and, if you guys could give me some insight on what you think a good female protagonist deck would be, or archetype would be, please let me know. Lulu Hazel, I don't think that 5Ds meant 5 dragons, I think it meant 5 destinies, which would make more sense because Rua and Ruka went the same way and everyone else went the different ways. So this made 5 and the D is destiny. What do you think? I love your videos. Please show this on your next Q&A. Thanks. Well, thank you, Lulu. And I have to say, the D does mean dragons. I mean, that's been confirmed by the writers of the original show. In the dub, it means dimensions, which I never really understood. I just looked that up right now. It means 5 dimensions in the dub. I have no idea why. Some things the dub does makes no sense at all. But it does mean dragons, that's confirmed. But Destinies is a good way to look at it, because in the end, there were 5 different Destinies, and there were 6 dragons. Obviously, that was not the original plans. But that's a way I've never really looked at the show before, and I've never looked at 5Ds before. 5 Destinies makes absolutely more sense than 5 dragons, and that is a really good recognition on your part. Brawler549 Reborn asks, do you think that there's going to be a new summoning method in the future? And if so, what do you think the new summoning method will be? Well, here's my thing. I would like to see a new version of, traps, or a new version of spell cards. I'm not sure what they could do with that, but I feel, and really the TCG players need to answer this more than me, because I don't play the game, so I don't know, what that would really do to the game and the balance of decks and stuff. But I feel like eventually you're going to have so many monster summoning methods that it's going to be so it's confusing now, honestly, to explain all the different methods and such. So I think if you added a new, magic or trap mechanic, I think that would kind of work as well. That's what I would honestly be in favor of. Will they do that? Probably not. But you guys let me know what you think about that. Elemental X Nashi asks, so there's been a theory going around, in order for Academia to fuse all the dimensions, they need the Bracelet Girls to come together, because together they are the goddess of creation. They then need to add the goddess to fuse the dimensions for them. Also, they are trying to keep the Yus away from each other, because together they form the god of destruction. What do you think of this theory? Keep up being an awesome Yu-Gi-Oh fan and an amazing YouTuber. Thank you so much, Elemental Nashi. That's an interesting one. I actually have not heard that theory before. I've heard similar theories about like gods and creations and destruction, and I've heard similar ones to that. It's definitely possible. I wouldn't really like if all the Bracelet Girls formed one entity and all the U-Boys formed one entity. I'm kind of thinking that that is the route they're going, but I don't know if I'd like that, because I like these characters kind of individually. Of course, we haven't met Ruri and Rin yet, but I like them having their own individual unique personalities and traits, that I don't want them to become one person, you know what I mean? With that being said, that very well could be the route they're going, and in that case, the U-Boys would be kind of the good guys and would have to stop it, and the U-Girls would be the bad people. So yeah, that's definitely an interesting one. I haven't heard that one before. Abmeister 1, judging by the first opening we had during the Synchro Dimension, do you think Yugioh was supposed to duel Yuya originally? Because in the opening we saw Clear Wing and Odd Eyes Rebellion. Also, with that as an opening, were you disappointed that they didn't go that route? Yeah, I'm a little disappointed, but to be honest, I'm not sure if they were ever supposed to duel originally. They hinted at it, but the openings have hinted at a lot of things before. We could go back to all Yu-Gi-Ohs and point out things that were hinted at that just never occurred. So to make the claim that it was originally supposed to happen, I can't really make that claim, but you know, they teased it, and I was disappointed we didn't get it, because I was convinced that was going to be a big duel that took place during the Synchro arc. Nexus Shark asks, which animation pattern of the various summoning methods do you like the most, and which summoning method do you like the most from a gameplay standpoint? I like Fusion a lot, because you have like the swirl of colors in the background as it's happening. Synchro's cool too, because you have the circles and the tuning and everything, and then XZ's is cool too, because you have the two the two bodies going into a circle together. Now I'm having issues. Pendulum, I'm actually not too big on, because it's just, it's cool. I mean, they're all cool. If I had to pick one, I would actually probably pick Fusion, because it just makes the most sense. You're fusing monsters together, and I don't know, I've always liked Fusion. But in terms from a gameplay standpoint, I've said it before, I would probably use XZ's, because I just feel like that's easier. I mean, maybe, people who play the card game maybe can dispute that and say it's not easier, and I'm all ears there. But from a gameplay standpoint, I do like XZ's summoning probably the best. Christopher Asia asks, we should be getting the duel between Yuri and Yugioh soon. I'm expecting Yugioh to lose somehow. What do you think of the idea of Yuri somehow fusing with Yugioh? And if they did, would you be excited for a match between Yuri and Yuya with Odd Eyes Rebellion versus insert Venom Dragon and Clear Wing combination here? Well, here's my thing. I've said it before, I don't think that Yuri and Yugioh are going to fuse, because I just don't think they can get along. But I do think this is a possible duel. Yuya and Yuto versus Yuri and Yugioh. And this all stems back to my theory that Rin and Yugioh are going to join Academia. So it would be Yuya and Yuto in one body versus Yugioh and Yuri. They'd be in their own bodies. They wouldn't be in one vessel, but they would still duel as a partner. I would love to see it, and I think it's actually, I mean, that's my theory, so I think that is the route that the show might be going in. John Zezzi asks, what do you think Leo Akaba's deck will look like? I really hope it's going to be Ancient Gear with some more GX-based cards. To be honest, personally, I'm starting to get sick of Ancient Gear, just because everyone in the Obelisk Blue Force and everyone for Academia that's just a generic character uses it, which makes me think he won't use an Ancient Gear deck. But if he does use an Ancient Gear deck, I don't want to see any of those Ancient Gear dogs. I don't want to see any of that Ancient Gear Chaos Giant. I want to see, like, new Ancient Gear cards, or maybe the cards that Crowler used. I wouldn't mind seeing that, but to be honest, I would rather him use a different kind of deck than Ancient Gear. But I'm horrible at predicting archetypes, so people in the comments, this is another one that I'll leave up to you. What do you think Leo's deck could look like? What do you think the archetype will be? Will it be Ancient Gear? I guess that's the question. Caliber J. Bowden, do you think that action magic cards are being overused to save or construct the duel into the main character's favor? Yeah, a little bit. You know, I like action magic, I like the entertainment style dueling, but I wouldn't mind seeing a duel between Yugioh and an opponent that is just a regular standard duel. I would love to just see that as well. I can't remember the last time it happened, if it's even ever happened, so hopefully it happens soon. Or actually, the last one I can think of is when he dueled Barrett and Sergey, and guess what? He lost. So it seems like when no action magic cards are around, unless there was one in that duel that I just can't think of, he has real trouble winning, and I think that kind of hurts his character a little bit. I love his entertainment dueling, but at this point, I think they are being overused a little bit. I'd like to see him just duel regularly for a couple duels in the future. Digit K-Boy, do you think there's any possibility of Yuri changing? What history do you think Selena and Yuri might have? Yeah, Yuri will change. He'll get redeemed. I think it's obvious at this point. I hope it doesn't happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. That was asked earlier in this. I really don't know how it's going to happen. And I don't think Selena and Yuri have any history. When they ran into each other, it seemed like they barely knew each other. I think they've been separated since probably they were born onto the island. I think Yuri has been training to be, they probably took notice of his skills, and he's been training to be this hitman. And they knew Selena had this bracelet that was key to you know, whatever Rio wants to do, and she's been kind of locked away. So I don't think they really have any history together. So yeah, I'm interested to see more interaction between those two. And finally, T again Matthews. In an episode during the Synchro arc, Reiji tells Yugioh that Rira is essential to defeating Academia. What are your thoughts on this and predictions of what part Rira could play in the future Fusion arc? I really believe that he might be a sleeper agent. I left that comment in by Jackpot earlier. There's just something weird about him, and I don't know what it is. I really don't. And people might completely disagree with me, but I had a very similar feeling with Sora, and I have a very similar feeling with him that just something is off, and maybe he is kind of like a cyborg that he's going to be activated when Leo needs him, and he's gonna duel Reiji, and I'm not sure, but I don't know what Reiji has in store for him either. I don't know what Reiji has in store for him either, because he says, right, he's essential to defeating Academia. Rira is just one of those variables, one of those many variables that exist in Arc 5, and I'd love to hear any theories on him, yeah, I really just don't know what to make of it, honestly. Well, guys, that about wraps it up. As always, if you sat through this all, you deserve. I'm standing up. I'm giving you a standing ovation right now. Thank you guys so much for listening to all this, listening to me ramble on. It really just means a lot to me, and the fact that this series looks like it will continue every other Sunday, just on a new channel, it's just amazing. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, I know some people don't like the length. If you don't like the length, just pretend it's in multiple parts, and every 15 minutes, like, stop watching and then just come back. And I don't want to make it multiple parts because it jams channel feeds. I think it's better if it's just in one continuous video. So you guys, again, thank you so much for watching. Cannot thank you enough. My episode 114 review, that'll be back over on my Clueless Gamers account. My main account should be up probably tomorrow or later today. Depends when I get this video out, probably Sunday morning. And depends when subs come out, as always. So leave any more questions you have down below. If I missed your question, again, I do apologize. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed Q&A number 4. I will see you guys next time.